Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerd Corner. I'm Josh.
And I'm Matt.
And today, in honor of Annabelle, we'll be reviewing two of our favorite Jake Gyllenhaal movies. We'll be reviewing Donnie Darko.
And Edge of Tomorrow.
How well do you know me?
Hey, Grandpa.
Not that well, apparently.
Do you know me well enough that if I did something that looked a little strange and was maybe even a little bit dangerous, but I told you to trust me anyway, that you could do that?
No.
Wow, that was honest. You're beautiful, you're kind, and you're painfully honest.
Who are you? And what did you do with Sean Fentress?
It's the new me.
Welcome back, guys, and thanks for watching the Nerd Corner. Let's talk about Source Code first. Movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Michelle Monaghan?
Michelle Monaghan.
Monaghan, sorry, I always mess up her name. But, very interesting movie, an interesting concept about not time travel, but the ability to relive memories in people's brains, which I thought was a really cool idea. Definitely when people told me about this movie, because I didn't watch it right when it came out. I waited till a month. It was already on DVD when I first saw it.
Right.
Definitely, I think it's one of the more underrated films that's out there.
Yeah, I definitely think it's underrated. It was at a time when there were a lot of great films that were coming out. They had Unstoppable that came out and all those great Denzel Washington saving trains.
Yeah.
But when it came out, it was I didn't see it in theaters. In fact, I saw it. One of my friends, I don't even remember who, there was here, let's watch this movie, and I was blown away by it. The concept is, so there's a secret government agency that's what they're doing is they're trying to
branch of the Air Force.
Branch of the Air Force, yeah, exactly. And they're trying to do this thing where they go through the source code. And the source code is some really screwed up movie physics. It's where apparently when you die, there's electricity currents that's still running that lets you relive
the last 8 minutes.
Last 8 minutes of a dude's life. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, the guy in the movie tells Jake Gyllenhaal it's not time travel, it's time reassignment. Yeah. So he knows he can go into this guy's life for 8 minutes and see what the guy saw and do different things, change different things and stuff, but he can't change the past. Or can he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the most frustrating things about this movie is you're watching it and you're like, Jake Gyllenhaal, and I mean, his character kind of goes through this, he's trying to save these people. He's like, if I just save one person, and they're trying to explain to him, no, it doesn't work that way. You can't alter history. And okay, by the way, there's going to be heavy spoilers in this. So if you haven't watched Source Code or Donnie Darko, which would be weird if you haven't watched Donnie Darko because it's been out forever, go ahead and watch those two movies, then come back and watch our discussion. But so the whole premise, I guess, the whole idea that Jake Gyllenhaal is really frustrating about is the fact that he can't alter time.
Yeah.
That's one of the most, that's the driving force in the movie is because you know that no matter what he does, those people on the train are still dead and he's just reliving that last 8 minutes. But the goal is oh look, I think amount of people will save in the present. And that's what the people in the present are trying to understand.
The whole thing about it is the guy tells him that he's trying to find a bomber, right? And he's trying to figure out who planted the bomb on the train. Because the whole thing is the train blew up and he's threatening with a dirty bomb in, what was it, San Francisco or Chicago? Chicago, yeah. So a bomber is threatening to let off a dirty bomb in Chicago and wipe out a huge metropolitan area. And so they're trying to go and find this bomber, and they say, Jake, you gotta go and you gotta find this bomber. You gotta stop him. You don't have to stop him. You have to figure out who it is. Tell us, and we'll stop him. Well, he's having this huge moral conundrum because he's a ex-military guy. He wants to save.
I don't know if ex is the right word because he's dead.
He's dead, but. So anyway, he's trying to save these people, and it's just a moral, conflict that the character that Jake Gyllenhaal's playing is going through. Because he kind of goes on the train, sees these people's lives, he keeps seeing them, keeps reliving them, and he keeps reliving this.
And he gets to know Michelle Monaghan's character pretty well.
Exactly.
Actually grows an attraction for her.
Yeah, he does. He grows a fondness for her, and he wants to save her. That's the main goal. After a while, is to save her. And they say, look, you got to find the bomber and tell us. It doesn't matter. And it gets to the point to where it's kind of like, it kind of gets into the whole like security debate, you know, like the NSA and stuff like that, where it's kind of like, how far will we go to protect ourselves from terrorists, and will we sacrifice freedom for protection?
Exactly, and like counterbalancing. And I think another part of it is just like, I know it's kind of like set in motion. It's already absolute, but in Jake Gyllenhaal's mind, it's not. The fact that he can save these people, and I think, you know, the good. It's almost like Jake Gyllenhaal's thinking, you know, does the good of the few outweigh the good of the many? Exactly. You know, like the whole morality issue really plays into Jake Gyllenhaal's character. I think Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay, a few of my critiques on this movie is the dialogue. I felt could have been a lot stronger. I thought the interactions between characters could have been a lot better. Mm-hmm. There were some bright moments. There were a few light moments, especially with the comedian. Yeah. Who's actually like one of the judges from Last Comic Standing on the train. I thought that was awesome. But I think the dialogue could have been a little better. I also think they had like the writer, whoever came up with this idea. I don't know the writer who initially came up with it, but like that idea. There's so many avenues they could explore, so many ways they could go down. And at the end, it almost felt like they were trying to set up a sequel. When he said, you know, if you're reading this message, there are parallel universes out there, or whatever. Yeah. And it worked. And source code, like, it felt like they were building up that there's so much more about source code that we don't even understand yet.
That's like, it's a critique, but it's also like, I feel like it kind of helps the movie.
It's a strong point.
So it's a movie about focusing on Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Monaghan's like character interactions, but also I feel like the movie gets hurt by it, and it also helps it too, because it's like a character-driven, like Jake Gyllenhaal's journey more or less than the whole overarching world of the source code. Now, like I said, it helps and hurts. Yeah. It helps for like the character interactions with Michelle Monaghan, because those feel really real. You know, that relationship feels really real. Yeah. But you have all these characters on the train that just kind of get underutilized, and you just have all this like huge world that isn't really explained, and like they never really explain the source code. They just kind of like say, "Oh, it's military science. Just go ahead and throw it in there." You know, it's just. They never really explain that, and I think that hurts it. But again, like I said, it's like a great like little character piece throughout.
Like, you know, what I would have done is kind of like restructure it, and you have to really look at as far as the writer's standpoint. You know, like what is going to be the main? What are we trying to get out of this movie? And I think the main thing was the relationship between Jake Gyllenhaal. I think honestly they might have tried to do too much. And they should have focused on that relationship, because I mean that's what the viewers were really interested in. Is Jake Gyllenhaal going to be able to save the girl? Yeah. And I think they should have done that and just stuck to that. I think they tried to do a little too much, and it kind of got away from, you know, the main elements of the movie. I think that's what hurt it. But it's a great film. I definitely recommend everyone should watch it. You know, you might love it, you might hate it. But I think it's going to definitely be one of those movies that I watch for a while.
It's very divisive, you know, it's just one of those movies that's either really jarring or you really get hooked into it. And I've seen the movie like at least 4 times.
I've seen it twice. I
love the movie. It's my favorite Jake Gyllenhaal film. And it's one of those, like I said, it's really divisive. Like, so you're just kind of on it, and I'm like all for it. I think you should go check it out. It's a great movie in a time where there's a lot of great movies, you know. Definitely. So I think you should definitely go check it out, and that's my thoughts. And
all right. Moving on to Donnie Darko, my personal favorite Jake Gyllenhaal film. This is like one of the first films that Jake Gyllenhaal became known for. I mean, the character Donnie Darko, and I love this. You know, I love in this movie that they actually try to explain the science behind it, like the almost. It's like not magic, but supernatural, I should say, like the supernatural element, and trying to wrap your head around the plot. It hurts your, like, there's so many explanations on it, like on YouTube and stuff, of people trying to explain.
Very intellectual, it makes you think. Yes, that's the movie that makes you think.
That's one of the things I like about it so much, is the fact that it's thought-provoking and it's interesting. You know, if you don't think about it, it gets very confusing. You know,
it's not one of those you just sit down passively watch. You know, go do dishes and
Exactly.
while watching it. It's one of those you gotta sit down and like study kind of films. But Donnie Darko, I really like it because, like you said, it's thought provoking and it's interesting because it's like it wasn't like it's low budget kind of indie-ish film, and you know it had all these big actors in it, and it was just cool because like you see that the whole indie scene has better stories than the whole like
mainstream
huge budget. Yeah, exactly. They remade this movie probably like 12 times, you know. But yeah, it's that whole like thought provoking, but also I really like Donnie Darko because it's about Donnie. Like they don't
deviate from that.
They make it this huge plot where it's like there's a time travel, parallel universes, different physics, you know, your own death, morality. But it's ultimately about a messed up, flawed character in Donnie Darko.
And how he finally realizes that, I mean, the inevitable is going to happen. He is going to die, and if he doesn't, the world's going to end.
Exactly. It's just, it's interesting because everyone else thinks he's crazy, and he thinks he's completely sane, and it's, you know, it's kind of one of those, well, is he crazy? Is he insane? What is it? But when he finally, like at the end of the movie, when he finally just like go ahead and lets it happen, and I like that part. You know, a lot of times I don't like it when they kill off characters in movies and stuff because it's like that's my favorite character. But when they did it with Donnie, it really felt real. It felt like he was accepting his death, and that was what really.
And it was honestly for me, it was one of the most shocking movie experiences I've ever had. At the end, when everybody realized, like you see them like, what happened, and the girlfriend or whatever is like, oh. That's a shame. I feel bad for the parents. Like, it's just, you know, that entire universe that Donnie was living in was wiped out.
Gone in that instant. Yeah, exactly. And it was crazy because, like, the Jenna Malone character, the girlfriend or whatever, she had, like, nothing to do. You know, she had, like, her relationship with Donnie was so great, but then when she just, like, oh, that's a shame that kid died, you know, it was very...
It's like everything you watched build and just evaporated before your eyes.
Exactly, and it was just it went with the theme of the movie.
Yeah, and definitely it stays true throughout. That's what I like about it so much is, you know, it starts off great and it ends great. There's no part.
There's no dip in it. It's like a climax.
It's relentless.
It's a climax like throughout the entire film. There's no like dead part, and it's not like you're sitting there going, oh my god. It's like you're interested in Donnie going to a party. You're interested in Donnie doing this.
One of, I know this is my critique on Source Code, is the opposite on Donnie Darko. I think the dialogue was one of the best parts of the movie. Was Donnie's character being almost comedic, very dark comedy in it. I don't know if you consider the movie a comedy. I don't think it is.
No.
But I think that's one of the elements to it, and it kind of gives it its full form because you have the scientific, you have the science fiction, you have the drama, and then you have the little comedy thrown in underneath.
It's weird because there's a bunch of different genres at once. It's science fiction, it's fantasy, it's a thriller, it's all these, and it, like you said, there are funny moments in it. It's like a sardonic like comedy, you know. And it's just you have all these different little elements that make it to be the great film that it is, and it just culminates into Donnie Darko.
And one of my favorite characters in the movie is the bunny, Frank.
Yeah.
He is like, he's almost more
film
important.
icon.
Yeah, he's a film icon. I mean, if you've watched this movie, you know Frank, and you can reference it. You can talk about Frank, and anybody who's watched this movie will understand what you're talking about just by mentioning Frank. You know, the guy in the bunny suit. Why are you wearing that stupid man suit? That's one of the lines Frank says. Patrick Swayze's character, the pedophile, I found was very interesting. That Patrick Swayze was playing this kiddie porn dungeon master. It was just
kind of thrown in there.
I thought that was interesting. And I mean his character plays in a little bit in the sense that it helps shows that Donnie Darko like has these abilities and stuff. Like he burns down his house, and that's how they found the kiddie porn dungeon. Like, what do you think? Why do you think Patrick Swayze's character he had so much screen time?
Because like it kind of. Not only did it cement that Donnie Darko had these abilities, but also it kind of cemented the fact that this world was kind of real, and it's a dark world. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he was wasn't he like the uber Christian dude?
Yeah, well, not Christian. His whole promotion was that he can change your life, and by getting rid of negativity and
That's
fear.
right. He's the super like awesome speaker.
Guru.
And it kind of showed that not Donnie Darko isn't the only messed up person in this world. You know what I mean? There are messed up people, and he shows that, like, I guess it kind of is a shining example of why Donnie Darko can get away with the stuff he does, because, you know, he's kind of like the dude who did bad to ultimately do good.
Do good, yeah.
Exactly, when they found him and arrested him. And it's one of those things, like I said, I think it cements it in reality and says, look, there are other characters that are messed up too. It's not just Donnie. Donnie's not a complete dark, and the other people aren't a complete white. There's kind of like a gray.
It's a very gray.
Very gray, yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, now that you mentioned it, I remember the scene where the teacher, also the leader of Sparkle Magic or the dance group or whatever, how she's like, you know, things can either be love or fear, and like fear is the opposite of love. And Donnie Darko's character says, no, wait, life is way more complicated than that. You can't have there's no two absolutes. It's a
all
bunch
gray.
of in the middle, you know. And I think that's just one of the many things that is in this movie. So I recommend that you go watch it right now if you haven't. Go out and watch it, or if you have and you haven't watched it in a while, rewatch it. Because I've watched this movie 5-6 times, and each time it's a different experience. It just keeps getting better and better and better.
It's a fantastic movie. I really enjoy it. It's one of my, you know, I do like some indie films. I'm not huge into them, but I do like some indie, and it's like one of my favorite indie type films.
Yeah.
But also, it's one of my favorite thought-provoking films, and I love thought-provoking films, you know. But
They're the best.
Exactly, and it's a great movie for cinema lovers, and even if you don't like movies, you know, I think you'll enjoy this movie because it's got a nice little story. Even if you can't follow it 100%, I still recommend. It's like soup. It's like food for thought. You know, like it really is. It's food for your brain.
And if you're going into this, watching this for the first time, obviously we spoiled a lot of it for you, but it will blow your mind. That's one of the best things about this film, is it'll make you think.
So, moral of the story for both of them is Jake Gyllenhaal's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, a very good actor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some honorable mentions really quick. I recommend watching Prisoners. Have you seen that movie, Matt?
I have not.
Go out and watch it because it's so good. It's definitely up there for me on Jake Gyllenhaal films. Brothers is a good movie.
Brothers is a good movie.
With
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. Yeah, he's like one of his best acting performances ever.
Not Spider-Man.
Like you think of him in Spider-Man and then you watch this. But anyway, basically the gist of it is Jake Gyllenhaal is an amazing actor and we love him to death. So Jake Gyllenhaal, if you're watching this, we love you.
We love you, Jake
You're
Gyllenhaal.
probably
And
never-
hey, Jake Gyllenhaal and everyone else, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and tell all your friends about the Nerd Corner.